Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us live on Substack. We wanted to jump on with former Congressman Joe Walsh because we have a lot to talk about. Joe, you have been so active on Substack and saying so many interesting, super compelling things. So I guess let's just start with, does our defense secretary know who he's at war with? Because he seems to be expending a lot of energy going to war with the media, but not with Iran's nuclear program. So your thoughts on what Pete Hegseth is doing going after Jennifer Griffin, excellent Pentagon reporter, as well as the rest of the media.
Well, and apologize for my bluntness, you two, because you two are way younger than me. I don't have a lot of time left, so I want to get right to the point. He's a fucking coward. What a cowardly thing, Allison and Dave, for Hegseth to do. And when I say Hegseth, I mean Hegseth and Trump. My God, hiding behind our troops, hiding behind the flag, because the media dares to question the effectiveness of our bombing another country. Allison, it was an act of cowardice. He didn't want to answer the questions. So he said to the media, why don't you be patriotic? Hey, why don't you fucking put out our propaganda? Why don't you say America's great? It's embarrassing.
I found the most despicable portion when the assumption, or when the accusation rather, was made that the media is somehow attacking the military or doing a disservice for our men and women in the military. And I feel as though the defense secretary, for the first time in my life, is using the military as a prop
Mhm.
in this war with the media. And if I were in the military, I would be disgusted by being
Mhm.
used as a political prop. Is that the way you feel it's going?
Oh, Dave, that's exactly what they did. Trump and Hegseth hid behind the military. They hid behind our troops. They put our troops up there and said, how dare you question these men and women? And nobody in the media is questioning those men and women. Nobody in America is questioning what our men and women did a week ago. But again, none of this is surprising. Pete Hegseth is what, 17, 18 years old? He has no business in that job. Trump hired him to do what he did the other day. Donald Trump is an utterly despicable guy, and he's surrounded himself with incompetent sycophants. Trump told him, Dave, go out there, hold up the American flag, and attack the media. And he did it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Pete Hegseth, whom we knew at Fox, spent too much time on the curvy couch. I mean, he's very well trained in the go after the media, fight the journalists, but not the get to the truth. I mean, he was not a journalist, so he doesn't know how to get to the truth. And Americans are owed an answer. We don't know the answer. I mean, I can understand why Americans wouldn't trust the word of Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth. So we're owed an answer. Did we obliterate Iran's nuclear program or not? That's a fair question.
And duh, it's the obvious in that nobody's to blame here but Trump, because Trump came out the night of the bombing and said, done, obliterated, before the intelligence. So Trump got ahead of the damage assessment and the intelligence. But this is who he is, and this is what he's always done. It's like when he's selling Trump University or Trump steaks, or he's selling what he did. It's all about selling, and he lies. And I was on with the BBC yesterday, and they were talking about Trump's grandiose language and how he said obliterated, and he didn't really mean that. And I said, bullshit. He lied. Because Allison and Dave, Donald Trump lied. He said obliterated before it was possible for him to know what happened. And so everything they've done since has followed that. Because to work for Trump, and I've heard this from people who are very close to people who work with Trump, you have to lie for Trump. If he says obliterated, man, that's it. You got to get on that train. And that's what they've done.
And could you pull back the curtain a little bit on exactly what the Defense Intelligence Agency which is where this intelligence came from, they are now being attacked and politicized. To my knowledge, that is part of our Pentagon run by, I believe, a three-star general. This is not some deep state mechanism, is it?
Well, Dave, it's not. But again, we have a president now for 7, 8 years who's called our intelligence community the deep state. So this is one of 16 intelligence agents we have. This is the Defense Department's agency arm, and they're damn good and they're damn professional. And this is an initial report. So instead of just acknowledging that, they attack. And I can tell you, Dave and Allison, because I come from MAGA, those two words, deep state, that's all I've heard from Trump supporters in the last few days. Here, hey, Joe, the deep state is after Trump again. So I think that's part of Trump's plan, obviously.
But I mean, because you speak MAGA, who is the deep state? They mean the bureaucrats who have been there. I mean, he got rid of everybody. Between Doge and Trump, he's gotten rid of like the lifers, the functionaries who were there. So who's the deep state now?
Oh, Allison, these agencies and departments are look in the bowels of these agencies and departments. They're full of people who've been there for years, and their jobs are to protect these agencies. And Donald Trump is their enemy, so they go after him. It's very concerted. This is what they believe, no matter who is at the top.
Right.
And in this going to war with the media, the fascinating new dynamic is going after Fox News.
Yeah.
Jennifer Griffin, who's done nothing but report the facts, and the facts were that more than a dozen trucks were lined up at Fordo, the underground nuclear facility, and the presumption is removing the enriched uranium. And it wasn't an accusation against the administration. It wasn't a degrading report about President Trump. And it's almost dead silence over there at Fox, other than Britt Hume, who defended her. What do you make of this new dynamic?
Dave, I'm going to pass and I'm going to let Allison answer this question because Allison, I want to know what you say. When, during that part of the conference, when he personally attacked her like that and said, "You're the worst," I found that to be like so ugly and painful. What was your reaction to that?
Same thing. It is ugly and painful. I mean,
Oh,
Griffin has a sterling reputation. She's
yeah.
well sourced at the Pentagon. She's been doing it for 2 decades. I mean, I don't know, at least 2 decades. You can't quibble with it. But again, all Pete Hegseth knows is what you do on the curvy couch. And on the curvy couch, you go after anybody who isn't keeping the narrative that Donald Trump wants. And so the fact that he's, firing, taking aim at his former colleague is really offensive. And the fact that it's up to Britt Hume to defend her. I mean, Britt's retired, basically. He's like the emeritus guest on the special report. And the fact that they're not, I mean, other people, I should say online, other people, some of other journalists did come to Jennifer's defense, but on air,
Yes.
it would be great to hear Fox voice a huge defense of her. So yeah, I think it's ugly and petty too, Joe.
And we talk about Hegseth, and clearly Hegseth's not ready for prime time, Allison, for what he should be doing. But everybody in that administration knows that what Trump did and said was wrong. Marco Rubio hasn't sat on that curvy couch his whole career. Marco Rubio is a former United States senator, and he doesn't have the fucking balls to sit to. If that were Marco Rubio giving that press conference, he would have said and done exactly what Hegseth did. JD Vance would have done and said the same thing. They are all now part of this Trump orbit. And this is what you have to do if you want to stay in that orbit. But this is so dangerous, guys, when you think about it. Trump's a pathological liar, and he's going to do whatever he can to make sure we don't get at the truth of what happened. Iran knows that. Israel knows that. Everybody knows Trump lies. This really endangers us.
So Joe, just to level set for a second so that our all of the people who are joining on Substack can understand this element of it. Did you support Do- President Trump bombing the facility, the Iranian nuclear facility? I mean, there's a MAGA split, as you well know, about all of that.
I'm I'm agnostic on the strike. I'm very pro-Israel, and I believe Iran can never, ever, ever, ever have a nuke. I don't know if this is the effective way to make sure they never, ever, ever have a nuke. And I certainly don't want him to be the one to make the call. So I was agnostic on the strike.
I mean, I was supportive of the strike, and I don't think President Trump was being attacked for the strike, quite frankly. The news coverage that I watched covered it fairly, and I don't think it was actually as critical as it could have been. Do you?
I don't know. I mean, I think that I don't know the answer to that. I haven't been watching around the clock about what people thought about the strike. I think everybody was relieved that it went well, that no American was killed, that it hit the target, that they did it secretly, that Iran didn't shoot down anything. All of that went well. And I think that the facts were out there. And I like to what you're saying, everybody reported that it went well. But it is important to know the results of the strike.
Oh, it's utterly necessary, and to know the follow-up, because we I don't want Iran to ever have a nuke. You can't bomb Iran into never having a nuke. There's going to have to be regime change, and even without a bomb, there's got to be boots on the ground and all of that. And I don't want that. But that's why this is so important to know the truth. But here's the deal again: we're asking Trump to not be Trump. Trump is utterly incapable of thinking outside of what's best for him. It's why he fucked up COVID when COVID should have gotten him easily reelected back in 2020. Here, Dave, to your point, we had a successful mission. All he had to do was keep his mouth shut, and boom, it's a success. But he's not capable of that. He's got to lie.
Elizabeth asks, can Trump be impeached for not sharing information on Iran strikes? Well, quite frankly, the math is all that matters in regard to an impeachment, Elizabeth, because they just don't have the numbers to impeach him. Don't think for a second that any Republican right now, not named Don Bacon, or I suppose there are a handful of Republicans speaking out, not about the Iran strike, but about the big beautiful bill and a few other things. But this will not. An impeachment comes down to 2026, and can Democrats, your party, by the way, take back the House, which I don't think is a possibility right now. Quite frankly, I do not. Do you?
Oh, you don't think it's a possibility that I got to get used to this. We will take back the House?
Yes, I do not. I think Trump
Oh.
will hold the House.
I think the Dems have a great shot at taking back the House, because I think Trump's really fucking up the economy. I'm asked all the time, what will it take to move voters off of Trump? And generally, most won't move until they feel economic pain. His tariffs are creating that, and these ugly, cruel deportations. The number of workers that we're losing in so many industries, we're going to feel that as well. So I think there's a decent chance Democrats will take back the House, but quit fucking talking about impeachment. That doesn't help.
Yeah, it doesn't really work. Yeah.
No.
But let's talk about you, Joe, because it is your whole evolution has always been
Oh,
fascinating. So now, so now you are a Democrat, a self-described Democrat. And why? I mean, why'd you do that instead of independent? Why did you jump in?
boy, Dave, and just think about this. Allison sat me down on a couch in a CNN interview about 5 years ago, just raked me over the coals. Crazy Tea Party Joe Walsh. Now here she is sitting with new Democrat Joe Walsh. I,
Break over the coals for that.
I, Allison, everything you raked me over it was well deserved. I just think this is simple. I'm not a kid. I want to stay in the political fight. When I said that I believed my former party, the Republican Party, is a threat to democracy and the rule of law, I really believe that. I mean, I believe that in my bones. So if I believe that, I'm obligated to join the team of the only side right now that can defeat that threat. That's all I care about. And that was my only motivation. And to help the Democrats, because Democrats, we got issues. We got to learn how to fucking fight and connect with real people again.
I am struggling with the we. It sounds odd coming. I really am, because from a policy standpoint, how in the fuck are you a Democrat?
Look at Allison. Would you look at his face? He can't. I deserve that look, Dave. Look, you know why? Because I fucking love this country. And if I didn't believe that one of our two major political parties is like Obama said the other week, they're creeping toward authoritarianism. Bullshit. They're there. So we've only got one other party. Dave, I would love it if you and I started a common sense, let's get shit done in the middle party. That ain't happening anytime real soon. So right now, if I want to beat the Republicans, I'm better to be on the side that can beat them. Knowing, by the way, I made a big bet, Dave and Allison. The bet I made was that the Democrats would accept me, that that they would accept this big tent from Joe Walsh all the way over to Zoran Mamdani. It's got to be that big of a tent. We'll see.
But hold on. Have you been accepted? Have they rolled out the red carpet?
Allison, there has been no fucking red carpet. The leadership hasn't come knocking on my doors, but generally the reaction I've gotten from Democratic voters out there has been, "God bless you, Joe. We'll talk about Israel and climate change and guns down the road. Let's fucking lock arms and save democracy." So the grassroots so far has been great.
That's nice, but I do want to bring up the Zoran Mamdani thing,
Yeah.
you brought up. So you say that the Democratic tent, you're banking on it being big enough for both of you. Do you really think it is? I mean, the fact that leadership isn't, I understand leadership's busy, they're not reaching out to you. But like I just heard Senator Gillibrand, she didn't sound like she was that comfortable with Mamdani being in the Democratic tent.
How crazy is this? I think that's a mistake that she and other Democrats say that. And I'm a very conservative Democrat. But welcome, Mamdani. He won and he did great things. And even though I disagree with a lot of what he said, let's welcome him into the party. It's New York City. Zoran Mamdani couldn't move down to South Carolina and run in South Carolina. Democrats got to learn that this is a big, diverse country, and certain kind of Democrats will win in blue states and certain will win in red states. And I think we need to accept and embrace them all.
But Mamdani says he's going to govern New York as a model for the Democratic Party. And David Hogg says the people have spoken and they're saying that the establishment is cooked. So, what does that translate to in 2026? Is Hogg putting forward very progressive, in this case, a socialist? A socialist belongs in the tent with you, Joe? No, I'm
Thank,
sorry. All the
well,
energy in this party, in your party, is in the Bernie Sanders, AOC, and now Zoran Mamdani wing. And I believe that is not just dangerous for the Democratic Party, it is devastating for 2026 and 2028. Why am I
okay,
wrong?
Dave Briggs. Okay, big guy. Okay, tough guy. And you and I really should be together with alcohol right now. I'm not a fan of socialism. Scares the crap out of me. Fascism scares me a hell of a lot more. So I'll just throw that out there. Look, Dave, this is reminiscent of the Tea Party. The Democratic Party is having their Tea Party moment. This is where I was 14 years ago. We were the pain in the ass conscience of the Republican Party, and the Republican Party establishment wanted nothing to do with me and us. That's what's happening right now in the Democratic Party. I say, God bless. The Democratic Party needs populism. If too much of it is on the left, we'll yank it to the middle. Don't forget, Dave and Allison, the Democratic nominee for governor of New Jersey is a solid moderate. The Democratic nominee for the governor of Virginia this year, both this year, solid moderate. You know, fight on different playing fields. But I want populists. I want fighters in the Democratic Party.
Fair, but if I'm Donald Trump, I'm thrilled about this development because I can hold up Zoran Mamdani, a 33-year-old socialist who wants
Democratic Socialist.
free everything
Thank you, Allison.
and to bilk the rich and business. I can hold up this democratic socialist as, do you want our party or do you want this? And I think that is going to be a very powerful message for President Trump and the Republican Party.
Fair. And they will do that, and it will help them. So what do Democrats do? Do they run from him? Do they hide? Do they disavow him? No, bullshit. We hold up Mandami and we hold up Spanberger in Virginia, and we say we're a big enough tent to handle all of this. We're a big enough tent to handle candidates that want government-run grocery stores in New York City, which is a crazy idea. And we're a big enough tent to support candidates who are pro-gun rights. Republicans, they're not a fucking big tent. All you got to do is suck at Trump's feet and you're in that party. So no, Dave and Allison, I would hold up the big tent. We take all of it.
Joe's good. Joe's good. I mean,
Oh,
he
no
should.
doubt.
He
Are
should
you
Dave's
be
gonna
better.
run?
thing.
Do you
What?
want to run?
I'd love to run.
Is there any plan to?
uh, I'm thinking about it. I've been propositioned with some opportunities. Allison and Dave, it may be too soon for me because there are still some Democrats that don't, shall we say, fully trust my evolution. But I'd love to run because I'm a fucking. Here's the funny thing, Dave. I'm a populist. I'm no crazy establishment twit. I'm a populist. I just now come from the middle. You know what, Dave and Allison? We need a fucking centrist populist. How about that?
Well, I mean, people have been talking about that and it just hasn't caught fire yet. I mean, as you know, there's all sorts of rational, sane people who cobble together their own platform and end up somewhere in the middle. And somehow that hasn't gotten traction.
You know what? We need a candidate with the charisma of a Dave Briggs or a Joe Walsh. But is that an oxymoron, Allison? I'll ask you. Is it impossible to have a centrist with real fucking charisma?
Not at all. No, charisma is bipartisan or charisma is
Okay,
nonpartisan.
name me one. Name me one. All the charismatic people are on the far left or the right. No,
Okay, give me a minute. Give me a minute. Um,
I can't think. I can't think of one besides me and Dave.
Charismatic centrist is what we're
A,
searching.
cha- a charismatic fighting centrist.
Well, I
Find
mean,
us a charismatic centrist.
I don't know that he qualifies as a centrist. I've long thought Mark Cuban would be a terrific
Yes,
candidate
yes.
for the White House. I just don't know that he'll take that leap.
Somebody says,
And Dave, I would concur. And he's charismatic. Maybe it has to be someone from outside of the political world, but we need someone in the middle who can fucking grab this common sense country by the balls and inspire them so that it's not just people on the left and the right who have all the charisma.
true. Kimmy on here says, I would love Mark Cuban. Somebody else said Pete Buttigieg. I don't think Pete Buttigieg, I think he's appealing, but I don't think he's charismatic. I would use a different
I also,
adjective.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't describe him as a centrist.
Hmm.
I personally would not. Would you, Joe?
Well, I wouldn't describe him as sort of a hard left progressive, would you? Maybe
No.
center left?
Hmm. Now let's talk about this. The Mamdani thing is interesting because the Islamophobia, I mean, it's not even Islamophobia, it's anti-Islamic fervor is out. I mean, it's just, it's not even, maybe it's Donald Trump that gives people permission to voice their
Mm.
darkest impulses. But have you been surprised at how quickly this has come to the fore with him?
No, Allison, and only because you know the old Joe Walsh that you used to interview engaged in some of this ugly shit. And then I woke up. But now it's fully radicalized. So, what once most people in the Republican side kept quiet, now it's out there. To me, the most frightening thing that any Republican did or said this week was Congressman Andy Ogles from Tennessee, who sent a letter to Pam Bondi and said, Mamdani's citizenship needs to be revoked and he needs to be deported because of his political beliefs. That's un American and frightening.
Yeah.
It is, but does he help himself by saying he thinks the Israeli prime minister should be arrested?
No, 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 no. And look, if I had Mamdani right here, I'd say, excuse me, young man, I think you're too anti-Israel. And I think I'd like it if you cleaned that up a little bit because I'm very pro-Israel. But because I disagree with him on Israel, would I ever say we should revoke his citizenship? I mean, we don't do that based on speech in this country. But Dave, he's got a real problem when it comes to that issue.
Yeah. He also does need to recognize, I think, if we were talking about just messaging, that Americans are not that conscious of the difference between intifada, jihad. They're just not that fluent in these things. So he is, and so he uses it more fluently, and that scares people and freaks people out. So he just needs to educate. He needs to be aware that not everybody understands those distinctions like he does.
3 or 4 months ago, nobody knew who he was, and he caught fire. And he's a young man, and he ran an online campaign that was just brilliant. And he got young people out. I now, to your point, Allison, I hope he puts some smart older folk around him to help him kind of smooth out some of these edges a little bit.
I think that's Joe Walsh's next pro bono project.
You guys are the best.
You're the
Love
best.
me, Dave and Allison. Love you too.
Next time, let's do drinks. And what would we be drinking, Joe?
We only drink tequila. If you're with me, Dave, you're only drinking tequila.
He's in.
I'm a tequila man. I made the mistake of consuming whiskey last night, and boy, does it hurt. It
Two,
hurts.
you
And that's
can't do
why I
that, Dave.
don't drink whiskey.
Wow. So wise, a wise man.
Ah, every
We
once in a
will.
while, I have to be reminded, to not.
Do you?
I do.
I know
I
you do.
do. What's your tequila? Do you have a favorite?
No, anything. I'm pretty plebeian in my taste, but I generally love like a good natural margarita with a little agave and a lime. Oh,
Yes.
I like a little jalapeno. I like it
oh,
spicy with a little tahini rim.
are you a mezcal guy, Dave?
I'm not. I don't
Nah,
like
me too.
smokiness. I know it's the cool fad right now, but are you?
No, gotta hate it. Allison, are you tequila at all?
I love tequila. I love
Oh,
tequila.
good.
So I'm willing to do mezcal. Can't believe you guys are not in on that, but okay.
You like to smoke?
Whoa.
There's also mezcals that are not super smoky.
Yeah,
That
I
are
hear
delicious.
that.
Yeah.
I haven't tried one of those. All right, next time I will. It'll be like cocktails with
It
Camerata.
will
Let's
be.
bring it back.
Let's do it. Let's do
We,
it.
That's a
that.
great idea.
Thank you.
Have you done one in a while?
Not in a while. It was a
Cocktails with
COVID thing.
Camerata was terrific.
Thank you. People there, I developed a fan base,
I
I
think
must say.
Allison, that's a great concept. Cocktails with Camerata.
Okay,
I
Joe's
think it
gonna
needs
be our
to come
next. I
back.
think so too. Joe's gonna be our next guest. Our
Oh my
first
God, I love it.
for the redo of Cocktails with Camerata.
Yes.
I love this. I'll be the bartender, but
Awesome.
where are you?
I'm in DC. I'll come up to you too.
Oh, great. That's closer than I thought. Okay, Joe,
I'll
let's.
come up
This is
to you too.
That would
fun.
be really fun.
Done. Book it, Dano. We'll do it.
Book it, Dano. All right, Joe, you're wonderful. Thanks for all of this. Really exciting to get your update and to talk about all this. And everybody, thanks for joining us in the middle of the day. This was
This
great.
was great.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.